45 minutes. That's how long Elizabeth Olten was missing before her mother called the police. That's how long it took Alyssa Bustamante, 15, allegedly to kill her first murder victim, her neighbor, Olten. The most shocking thing of all? Alyssa Bustamante's youth was trumped by her victims. Elizabeth Olten was only 9. According to friends, family, and neighbors, Olten was all sweetness and light, a little girl made of sugar and spice and everything nice, who loved cats, the color pink, and was a real girly girl. She had long medium brown hair, wide-set eyes, and was described as a shy girl who was afraid of the dark and would not normally have gone into the woods, making her disappearance more ominous. Peggy Florence spoke on behalf of the family. She was somebody special. They call her a girly girl. She would be outside in the snow or in the mud in her frilly little dress. Looking at photos from Bustamante's now defunct Facebook page, one sees a girl hardened beyond her years. Pale blue eyes rimmed with heavy black eyeliner, straightened bangs hanging in her eyes, and a defiant pout, chin stuck out at the camera. Even in 2 dimensions, she had attitude and charisma to burn. Like many troubled teens, she was labeled a goth. In an alternate life, she might have been a star. In this one, she may be one of the most shocking teenage murderers yet. The 2 neighboring communities from which the girls came in Missouri, St. Martin's and Jefferson City, epitomize small-town America. St. Martin's, where Olten lived, has just over 1,000 people. Everyone knows each other. So when Olten failed to make it home on Wednesday, October 21st, from a friend's house just a quarter-mile away, there was cause for alarm. The search began almost immediately, though there was a 2-lane highway that ran the stretch from the friend that Olten had been visiting to her own house. She had oddly taken a shortcut through the woods, curving around and behind neighboring lawns and backyards. By the time the search started, with the aid of hundreds of volunteers, it was dark and cold, and the weather had turned it out. Searching the woodsy terrain turned into a difficult process. Dave Winninger, a volunteer firefighter who joined in the search for Olten, was quoted by the Associated Press as describing the search area as brushy and hilly. "There's a lot of rocks, trees, and brush piles. It's a very rough place to be," he said. The searchers included dogs, firefighters, police, helicopters, FBI, and highway patrol. They went over and over the area, but were unsuccessful. Olten's cell phone initially gave them a hint, but by Thursday morning the battery had died. Until this point, the scenario that the community and the police had feared was that an older male predator had snatched up the girl as she walked home alone through the woods. No one suspected that it was a member of the community, much less a teenage girl. But details began to emerge and rumors quickly spread. A teenager was described as a person of interest. The police had gathered some evidence, writings that led to the teenager. Bustamante didn't show up for school the day after the murder. It was the first and only unexcused absence. Shockingly, the teenager then led the police to the body. It had been in the very woods they had been searching. "We had been in that area actually more than once. The body was very well concealed," Cole County Sheriff Greg White told the press. "For a while, there was public uncertainty as to the gender of the person of interest." Because the town was so small, Cole County Sheriff Greg White declined to give more specifics until it was decided how Bustamante was going to be tried. "I know that it would be cathartic for the public to know exactly what happened, but the difficulty with that is, we have to maintain a prosecutable case," White was quoted in an AP report. "We're not going to contaminate jury pools or anything else." Because she was a juvenile, there was a question of whether or not she'd be tried as an adult, possible under state law, which could then make her eligible for the death penalty. However, Missouri has an unusual 2-pronged system for dealing with young offenders, one that mirrors Canada's. Missouri is one of 22 states using a dual jurisdiction system. If a suspect is found guilty, Then the offender can be held until age 21 when a new hearing is held, and it is determined whether the offender has been rehabilitated or should serve the rest of the sentence. It was ultimately decided that Bustamante would be tried as an adult. Her defense attorney, Kurt Valentine, expressed disappointment with the decision, saying, "We are throwing away the child, and we are signing a death sentence for Alyssa. She is not going to survive her time in the Cole County Jail." As details of the murder came out, though, it became clear this was not child's play gone wrong. Bustamante had reveled in her bad girl image. Her Facebook page bore images of her with red-smeared lipstick, designed to look ominously bloody, paired with black kabuki-style makeup over her eyes. She gritted her teeth and made faces when she wasn't pouting like a sex pot. She was known around town as a bit of a bully. Like many teens, she was deeply involved with social media and had pages on MySpace, Twitter, and Facebook. She had a YouTube account under the name Okamikage, Japanese for wolf shadow, and filled out her profile. Under her hobbies, she listed killing people, cutting. She had been treated for severe depression and had tried to commit self-checkout. Her Twitter account stated that she was somewhere I don't want to be. On the photo of her with smeared lipstick, she is pointing a finger at her head like a gun. Many little red cuts are visible on her inner wrist. A tweet a few weeks before the murder read, "This is all I want in life, a reason for all this pain." Her YouTube account featured several videos of her and her brothers, mostly just engaging in horseplay or mimicking jackass stunts, but one, in particular, was disturbing: idiots getting electrocuted by electric fence. In it, Bustamante and her two younger brothers are standing in front of an electric fence. She gives the camera a grin and grabs the fence as she grimaces. Well aware of the pain it causes, she nonetheless convinces her younger twin brothers, age 9, to do the same. The screen reads, "This is where it gets good. This is where we see my brothers get hurt." They dutifully follow, ending on the floor, half laughing, half shuddering. When Elizabeth Olten left to go home, she'd been playing with Alyssa Bustamante's half-sister, who lived a few doors down. The 6-year-old and the 9-year-old pals hung out, and then, when Olten started her journey home, she was allegedly diverted by Bustamante, who called Olten on her cell phone and redirected her back to Bustamante's house. Allegedly, Bustamante had then led Olten into the woods. Olten, who was afraid of the dark, would have trusted the older teen they played together and were friends. But Olten couldn't have anticipated that she would be brutally slashed on the neck and arms and then fatally stabbed. The young girl's body was found in a grave. Bustamante admitted to digging 2 graves a week before the murders, giving rise to speculation that her twin brothers were the original intended victims. But a detail from the press conference gave people further pause. When Cole Country prosecutor Mark Richardson was asked why there were 2 graves and whether one or both graves had been used for Elizabeth, he said only, "No, I can't tell you that right now." The autopsy revealed that Olten had been strangled. Her throat and wrists had been slashed and she'd been stabbed. Missouri State Highway Patrol Sergeant David Rice said that Bustamante's motive was simple and terrifying. Ultimately, she stated she wanted to know what it felt like. After the murder, a friend of Bustamante's came forward, saying that Bustamante had told her that she wanted to know what committing a murder would be like. Jennifer Meyer went on KMOV in St. Louis. "I was at her party, and she kind of just took me off to the side randomly, and she's like, 'You know, I wonder what it would be like to kill somebody.' Because I guess she was mad at one of her friends there, but it just seemed kind of strange," Meyer said. "But you wouldn't logically think one of your friends would kill somebody." Distressingly, there have been other teenage girl murderers. Diana Zamora killed a romantic arch-nemesis, Adrian Jones, in 1995, at the age of 17. In Australia in 2006, the 16-year-old Collie killers tried murder just for fun, strangling and suffocating their victim. One of the earliest known teenage female killers wasn't even a teenager. Mary Bell strangled a 3-year-old boy and a 4-year-old boy just for kicks in 1968 at the tender age of 11. In 1979, Brenda Spencer, 16, bored of Mondays at school, loaded the semi-automatic rifle her father had given her and blazed away, killing 2 adults and injuring 8 children and a cop. Still, a female offender as young as Bustamante is rare enough that, had it been ruled that she would be tried as a minor, authorities wouldn't have had the right facilities to handle a convicted violent female underage criminal. She would have likely been put in solitary confinement. Bustamante appeared in court on November 17, 2009, where she pleaded not guilty to charges of first-degree murder and armed criminal action for using a knife in the killing. In January 2012, she accepted a plea deal, admitting to the lesser charge of second-degree murder along with armed criminal action. The judge sentenced her to life in prison with the possibility of conditional release, plus a consecutive 30-year sentence for the armed criminal action charge. Her appeal was rejected in March 2014. Meanwhile, the victim's mother, Patricia Price, settled her lawsuit against Bustamante. Under the settlement terms, Bustamante must disclose any compensation she receives from coverage of her case to Price. Multiple mental health professionals who examined Alyssa all diagnosed her with major depressive disorder and borderline personality disorder. In July 2024, Bustamante was denied parole. She won't be eligible for another parole hearing until 2029.